Hey, so today I thought we would go through the crazy theory that Tyrion is somehow a time-traveling fetus and the child of Daenerys and Drogo. It's a very far-fetched theory, but it does have some merit, I will give it that. We are going to look at what I think is the original Reddit post from XY Seth and all of its evidence. It promises to make 137% sense at the end of it. Will it? We'll decide. So, he starts by saying that George R. R. Martin uses Greek mythology in his work, and King's Landing has 7 gates. You might think that 7 relates to the 7 gods or the 7 kingdoms, but what if the 7 was just invented to play with us? To mask the elaborate interrelation between A Song of Ice and Fire and one of the most famous works from the ancient Greek world, Thebes. It was a city in ancient Greece, and it was known as Seven-Gated Thebes. In other words, King's Landing, Thebes. From this humble starting point, we'll eventually arrive at Daenerys and Drogo equals Tyrion, so coat yourself in tinfoil and let's dive down the deepest, darkest rabbit hole. Indeed we will, because, there's some crazy theories out there, but this is wild. So, what's so special about Thebes? It was home to Oedipus, the legendary Oedipus who killed his father and married his mother. Incest, if you haven't noticed, is a major theme. King's Landing is to incest what Las Vegas is to gambling. But do we have our Oedipus? Okay, yeah, when you're making things that obvious, Goes on, next header, Oedipus Rex. There's one clear candidate. His father disowned him from birth, like Oedipus. He's nearly universally hated, like Oedipus. And he kills his father, like Oedipus. Yes, that's right. Tyrion, our favourite dwarf, is destined to shag his mother. XY Seth must be British. Right. But before we address how that doesn't make any sense, let's quickly flesh out a few similarities between Tyrion and Oedipus. These are where I'm like, okay. So Tyrion has an abnormal gait waddling to and fro. Oedipus, literally meaning swollen foot, had his feet bound, which would likely create an abnormal gait. By abnormal gait, like G-A-I-T, that is the way someone walks. Tyrion saves King's Landing, but that doesn't save him from being hated. True, Oedipus saves Thebes, but that doesn't save him from being hated. Disowned by his father Tywin, who contemplates infanticide because Tywin just wanted to go and give his son to the waves, Oedipus was disowned by his father Laius, who attempted infanticide to actually kill him. Tyrion kills his father Tywin. Oedipus kills his father Laius. In broad strokes, Tyrion matches Oedipus, but what about the most important details, like his mother, Joanne Lannister? She is dead. Yes, that does appear to be a kink in the theory, but let's not get bogged down by technicalities, yet. I plan to resolve the problem of her death unconventionally, he says. Joanna is not Tyrion's real mother. How you going about that, dude? So, a womb and a birth canal does not make a biological mother. If I take my eggs, get my husband to sperm one up, and implant one in your womb, are you the real mother? No, what we've got with Tyrion is an early example of surrogate pregnancy. But then, who is Tyrion's real mother? Dany? Father? Drogo? D+D equals T? You heard it here first, folks, 10 years ago. Before we see the ironclad support for such a theory, let's note the remarkable similarities between Dany's child and Tyrion. And this is where I'm like, okay, yeah, there is credit here, we'll get to the but. So, Rhaego compared to Tyrion. Dany gives birth to a child that Mirri Maz Duur claims is hideously deformed, half human and fiendish. Monstrous, Mirri Maz Duur finished for him. Twisted. I drew him forth myself. He was scaled like a lizard, blind, with the stub of a tail and small leather wings, like the wings of a bat. Tyrion can be easily associated with each and every one of Rhaego's characteristics. This association reveals their elaborate interrelation. Tyrion, like Rhaego, has been called monstrous and twisted. Wait, I will get to my argument. The twisted little monkey demon. Now, he is called that by someone in King's Landing in A Clash of Kings, Tyrion 5. He is out and hears people just, how people preach and stuff. And someone is saying that the fruit of their incest capers in his palace to the piping of a twisted little monkey demon, meaning Tyrion. So, yeah. Highborn ladies fornicate with fools and give birth to monsters, it says. He is also called a twisted little monster by Cersei in A Storm of Swords, Jaime 7. She thinks, as he was dying, he pointed at his murderer about Joffrey. At our twisted little monster of a brother, she kissed Jaime's fingers, implying Tyrion. So, okay, people in the streets have an idea about Tyrion. People, his family have an idea about Tyrion. Oberyn also says about Tyrion, your head was monstrous huge, we'd heard. Half again the size of your body, and you had been born with thick black hair and a beard besides, an evil eye and lion's claws. Your teeth were your teeth were so long you could not close your mouth, and between your legs were a girl's privates as well as a boy's. Okay, argument. We know from Tyrion personally. I'm pretty sure he never talks about having a girl's parts. He's only ever talking about having his boy's parts. So, you might have an evil eye, but, yeah, he's not as they described. So, he's also said to be tailed. You were said to have one, a stiff curly tail like a swine's, like a pig. Tyrion never talks about his tail, so unless Tywin got that thing lopped off. Also described scaly and winged, for Rhaego especially. As the child of Dany and Drogo, he's obviously associated with scaly winged dragons. But even if we momentarily lose all sanity and entertain someone else as the father, like Aerys, then that still associates Tyrion with scales on wings. I, for one, would prefer if none of Tywin's children belong to him, even if we do kind of see Tyrion as Tywin writ small. I just kind of think like, screw you. Like, none of it can, your legacy and all that, and yeah. Anyway, yeah. Perhaps Aerys is Tyrion's father. If we jump into that, we have to believe one thing to then believe another thing. 2 additional associations. 1, as Master of Coin, Tyrion had the king's scales under his jurisdiction. Dash jump in. 2, Tyrion Lannister's lion is connected to a scaly lizard through Martin inventing a special fantasy creature called the Lizard Lion. So far, 0 tinfoil. No. This is tinfoil. This theory is tinfoil. We're already believing like several things to get to one conclusion. The post then goes on to talk about the pregnancy like being a surrogate side of it. The big question is, how can we conclude that the surrogacy was involved, considering the tiny problem that Joanna and Dany were never alive at the same time? Thankfully, Miri Mazdur has got it covered. Miri talks about a reversal and a cycling of time. When the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, then he will return, and not before. She says to Dany about Drogo after saving him. In other words, before Dany's husband returns, a reversal in time, symbolized by the sun moving in its opposite direction, has to complete. Quaithe, too, has more to say about time travel. To go north, you must go south. To reach the west, you must go east. To go forward, you must go back. And holy shit, I would say that starts to make a little bit like, that starts to sound like, actually, what with Bran and his things, I can make some beliefs here. I feel like I'm not jumping too far. You must go back in time. Something from the past needs to come to the future, and something from the future must make its way to the past. That something is Dany's unborn fetus, Rhaego, who Mary transplants back in time into Joanna's already occupied womb by using Drogo's soul. Rhaego thus absorbs his biological father. Back in the past, Joanna's genuine fetus, by Tywin or Aerys, isn't delivered and remains dead for years until Mary blood magics the baby back into the present. Dany delivers the decaying time capsule. When I touched him, the flesh sloughed off the bone, and inside he was full of grave worms and the stink of corruption. He has been dead for years. Mary confirms that Joanna's fetus, delivered by Dany, has been dead for years. I just feel like you have to be so far-fetched with this theory, with the time-traveling aspect of it as well, because we do see reports of Rhaenyra's child looking scaly, and I feel like that is just something that happens to Targaryens, unfortunately, and maybe for Dany that was the way Rhaego was always supposed to be, and nothing changed, despite what Mary Mountstuart did. Tyrion time traveling is too far-fetched. What would be his character point in that? And if we're reading these things as evidence with quotes to Dany, wouldn't it be her time traveling? Because that aspect of it, I'm like, okay, I can kind of believe it, because we see there's going to be an aspect of that in Bran's story. But would we see that in Dany's as well? But that's not Tyrion. Anyway, other aspects like the comparisons to Oedipus, I'm like, yep, okay, I can get that. Yeah, I can buy into certain aspects, but overall, nah. The recap given is, using Drogo's soul, Mary transports Rhaego the fetus back in time, where he is delivered by an already pregnant Joanna. Joanna's fetus, fathered by Tywin or Aerys, doesn't make it. Collateral blood magic causes this fetus to resemble Rhaego as it begins to decay. After being dead for years, Mary sends it back into the future and delivers it from Dany's womb. Back in the past, Rhaego gets named Tyrion. Tyrion lives as a Lannister for over 34 years. Even though he has already absorbed his biological father, Drogo, Tyrion kills his adopted father, Tywin, for shits and giggles. Tyrion returns to Dany to complete Mary's prophecy. Then her husband will return, and not before. Tyrion marries Dany, his mother. Oedipus getting Rexed. The world shutters as Tyrion begins to mount it. A small man can cast a very large shadow. So if we're going full circle with that theory, okay, so her husband will return to you in the form of Tyrion having absorbed his father and time traveling. Nah, I don't buy it. Tinfoil. So, the post also has predictions. Tyrion kills his Darzo Lorak, because why not at this point? I can just see his character doing that anyway, regardless of this theory. Dany and Tyrion marry. Their marriage is first consummated in King's Landing, Thebes. I don't see that happening. Dany, would you? Nah. 3. King's Landing will be leveled to the ground, much like Thebes. Much like Season 8. If things go to shit, then yeah, okay, I can buy into that. 4. Tyrion will fly a dragon because he's the stallion who mounts the world. I would just love for Tyrion to get a dragon. Will it happen? I don't know. I feel like he's always standing on the sidelines. Who knows, 50-50 with that. He does or he doesn't. 5. Tyrion becomes king of Westeros. I mean, he's one of Martin's favorite characters. I'm sure he would love for that to happen, but I don't think that's gonna happen. 6. Tyrion will gouge out his eyes, like Oedipus, also fulfilling Miri's description of Rhaego as blind. I think sometimes, don't we think that Tyrion is likely to use his tongue? Because he is always getting into trouble because of that thing. Technical note, the father of Joanna's fetus doesn't matter in the end, since his purpose is to die for years. The father could be Moonboy for all I know. The father of Joanna's fetus, so that would technically be the one that Dany gives birth to. It's way too long. It's way too much to far-fetched believe. I just have to suspend belief too much. The too long didn't read. The half-man is the stallion who mounts the world. Miri Mazda created a rift in space-time to do a fetus swap, making Rhaego and Tyrion the same person, creating a prophecy where he becomes destined to marry Dany, his mother. Wouldn't that be just so George R. R. Martin, though? Sounds right. Looks wrong. Nah. Personally, no. I like aspects of it, but no. No. What do you think? Let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know any other theories you want to do a big deep dive on. We will discuss it. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.